Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mary Staak. I'm reaching all of you from Raleigh, North Carolina. I just pulled up the weather radar for you all, and it looks rather stormy in Connecticut. So anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I'm with USDA's Risk Management Agency. I've been with RMA for 24 plus years. I've also worked for some of the approved insurance agencies, the AIPs. I'm a graduate from the University of Georgia in agriculture, and then I got a master's degree in interdisciplinary science from Duke University. I think I was trying to solve the world's problems when I embarked on that degree. I wanted to figure out how all disciplines are connected, and it was very worthwhile. So today, I'm going to cover a new insurance program with RMA. This is a new program for 2022. And this is really my first formal presentation working with producers, explaining how the program works. So I'd be happy to get any feedback or any questions that you might have as I go through. I'm going to turn my video off because I get better reception, better internet connection once I turn the video off, and I'll share what is a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to go through this policy kind of incrementally. It should take 30 or 40 minutes to go through it. And if you have questions during the presentation, I think it'd be fine to go ahead and ask. But Francis, I'll leave that to you if you wouldn't mind kind of negotiating that.
Sure, and I'll monitor the chat as well.
Okay, thanks. So I'm going to turn my video off and pull up the PowerPoint. Oh, sorry, I was practicing. Francis, do you see the full slide?
Yes, I can see all of it, but I also see some kind of weather thing.
Yeah, let me get rid of that. So are you seeing the PowerPoint with the various slides or just the main slide?
The various slides. It just needs to go into the slideshow.
Okay. Sorry, trying to get it. It's because I have a separate monitor here. Sorry. A little trouble. I apologize.
These things happen.
These things happen. I think this is the way to do it. Okay, now I think we're ready.
You got it.
You got it. Okay. So thank you to the University of Connecticut and their staff for sponsoring this training program. Again, my name is Mary Staak. I'm with USDA's Risk Management Agency. And today we are going to cover a new program with RMA called the Microfarm program. So the Microfarm is a pilot program. It's new in 2022. It's designed to provide crop insurance to local farmers who grow vegetable crops and other products for the local community. Crop insurance is full of all kinds of acronyms. And so here I just wanted you to know that Microfarm is abbreviated MF, and Microfarm is part of the Whole Farm Revenue Protection Program. WFRP is a program that allows producers to insure all farm commodities under one policy. And the Microfarm program was created within Whole Farm specifically for local producers. And it has special features that make it more attractive to local producers in terms of record keeping. So the goal of Microfarm is to provide a risk management safety net for all farm commodities that you produce on your farm under one insurance policy, and it's targeted to local farm producers. Microfarm is available in all 50 states in the United States and in all counties. So, of course, it covers all of Connecticut. To be eligible for the Microfarm policy, you must be a U.S. citizen and eligible to receive federal benefits. You have to have at least a 3-year history of filing a Schedule F tax form, and that you produce no more than $100,000 in farm revenue. If you choose to become insured under the policy and you're a continuing carryover insured, then the limit jumps to 125,000. And the final piece of eligibility, you can have no more than 50% of your total revenue from commodities that you purchase for resale. So for example, if you have a CSA and you purchase some products in order to fulfill your CSA commitment, then your total revenue cannot exceed more than 50%. So I'm going to stop here just for a second to get feedback, Francis, to be sure you can hear me and everything's going okay.
Everything's good, Mary.
Everything's good.
Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, so the program is based on your tax year and your accounting methods. So either you have to either file calendar year or fiscal year filing and follow cash or accrual accounting methods. The causes of loss that this program insures against are unavoidable natural causes that occur during the insurance period. So, like other crop insurance policies, these are weather events, cold, freeze, hail, wind, hurricane, drought, heat, all the various weather-related perils that could impact your crop. So we talk about causes of loss during the insurance period. The insurance period for the microfarm policy is a 12-month period. And for Connecticut, the sales closing date is March 15th. So it's coming up pretty quickly. And I'll talk more about how you purchase this policy towards the end of the program. So the microfarm program protects against the loss of farm revenue for commodities you produce during the insurance period, during that 12-month period, whether they are sold or not, commodities you purchase for resale during the insurance period. Your total revenue coverage is based on your approved insured revenue. And there's calculations involved in this, and we'll get into that further along in this presentation. One of the advantages of this program is that as an insured, you do not have to report your expenses. So your insured revenue is based upon three things: your whole farm history report, your farm operation report, and what level of coverage you choose to insure of your approved revenue. And that range is from 50% to 85% of your approved revenue. So the first thing I want to talk about is just the whole farm history report and what goes into that report. So the whole farm history report, it calculates your allowable revenue. It includes 3 to 5 years of Schedule F farm sales. If there's less than 5 years of tax records, then the whole farm history report calculates or duplicates the lowest revenue amount from your Schedule F reports to reach the 5-year period. And you have to provide a substitute Schedule F for the lag year. And the lag year is the tax year immediately preceding the insurance period. And all of this will make a little more sense as we get into it. So here is an example of a whole farm history report. The revenue amount, as I said, is based on 5 years of tax history. But
Mary,
one
we
of
have
the
a question. I'm
advantages.
sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Can the 3 consecutive years include tax year 2021?
Yes. So 2021 would be one of the lag. It would be the lag year, and so you'd have to complete a substitute Schedule F. So in this slide, I'm showing you that the whole farm history report does require 5 years. But if you only have 3 years of tax history, you can still qualify. And I'll show that calculation in the next slide. Did that answer the question, Francis?
I'll check the chat and let you know. Oh, yes, we're good.
Okay, great. So here is an example of a whole farm history report with dollars included. So in the whole farm history report, what you're trying to do is determine your allowable revenue. As I said, you need a minimum of 3 years, but the allowable revenue is based on 5 years of records. So in this example, you've got 3 years of Schedule F with 2021 with a substitute Schedule F form. The remaining 2 years are populated with your lowest tax record, and that would be the 2021 crop year of $35,515. So you add these 5 years up, divide by 5, and your allowable revenue is $36,929. Okay. The next report that goes into your Microfarm program is your farm operation report. So the farm operation report, abbreviated as FOR, so it functions basically as an acreage report. If you're familiar with other crop insurance programs, all programs require that the producer report their acreage each year. The farm operation report is incremental. So at the beginning of the crop year, or by the sales closing date, you would complete your intended farm operation report. Then as the year progresses, you may change what you intend to grow. And when you do, you would submit a revised farm operation report. And finally, by the end of the season, you would submit your final operation report. The farm operation report calculates your expected value per acre based upon 3 years of records. So it's based on your consolidated sales records, and it calculates your approved revenue. And so I've highlighted some of these terms. So if you look at this presentation again, you can keep in mind the definition of each of these terms. So again, with your farm operation report, we're calculating your expected value and your approved revenue. It's based on your consolidated sales records. which include the sale of commodities grown on your farm. These records are used to determine your allowable revenue. If your insurance agent and approved insurance provider requests copies of your records, you need to provide them. They include sales records that provide total value for the commodities reported on your farm. And again, this includes 3 years of Schedule F records, and it's based upon your consolidated records. Consolidated records include verifiable records. And just to, dive deeper into what a consolidated sales record is, these are records that you keep to complete your Schedule F. They're year-end records that include a total value for your commodities. It includes contemporaneous records, including daily receipts or weekly, monthly, quarterly receipts that you use to substantiate your revenue on your Schedule F. So this is an example of a farm operation report calculating 3 years of data. Excuse me. So in this example, if you go back to the earlier slide, you'll see that these are the 3 years of actual records that in this example. So we're adding those 3 years, dividing by 3, and we come up with $37,872. The farm operation report also requires 3 years of certified records. So in this example, this producer had 14.2 acres, 15.5, and 16.1 acres. Divided by 3, that average 3-year certified records is 15.3. So the expected value is 37,872, and the certified acres are 15.3. So I'm kind of delving in deeper to the farm operation report. This is not what the report looks like, but these are the really important fields that I wanted to focus on in this training. So for this program, the commodity name is Microfarm. There's one commodity code, and the expected value is based on your 5-year whole farm history average revenue. That's the first thing we discussed, which had the 5-year history. And in this example, I had duplicated 2 years of the lowest income to come up with a 5-year average. So the approved revenue is $36,929. On this farm operation report, this producer expects to plant 16 acres, and the expected revenue is $37,872. And that's based on this calculation we did in the last slide. That's based on those 3 years. So the important thing to remember here is the whole farm history is based on 5 years. The expected revenue is based on 3. The approved revenue amount is determined on your farm operation report and is the lower of the expected revenue or your whole farm historic average revenue. So you basically take the lower of these two figures. So in this example, 36,929 is the approved revenue. The final aspect of this program involves the producer selecting their level of coverage, which can range anywhere between 50 to 85% in 5% increments. So in this example, the insured revenue is 36,929. If you remember, based on this figure, which is the lower of these two, times, in this example, the insured selected 85% coverage. So if you multiply their insured revenue or their approved revenue times 85%, it comes to $31,390. So that would be the farmer's revenue guarantee. So a few more details. The farm operation report, as I mentioned earlier, can be revised and updated during the year. Once all the planting is complete, a final operation report is required. And if you're growing your farm operation, there is a possibility of indexing your yields in order to recognize the expansion in your operation. One of the features of this program is that the approved revenue does include your market readiness and your post-production operation. So market readiness, sorry, that's my dog. Market readiness and post-production operations such as canning, freezing, processing activities can be included in your allowable revenue and may be used when calculating your farm's insurance guarantee under Microfarm. There are some exceptions. Revenue sources from products other than your agricultural commodities, such as bottled water, souvenirs, things like that, have to be removed from your allowable revenue calculation. Other things that are excluded from allowable revenue include timber, forest products, animals for sport, show, or pets. Replant payments are not available under this program. Vertically integrated operations are not eligible for Microfarm. Or if you have a separate standalone crop insurance policy. For example, if you have truck farming and then you also grow corn for grain and you have a corn policy, then Microfarm would not be an option for you. So just to sidetrack here a little bit, I'm going to make sure you all understand what a vertically integrated operation is. This is an operation that has a substantial beneficial interest in multiple entities that both buy and sell commodities from each other or move commodities from one entity to another to conduct post-production operations. So that's a gigantic mouthful. But basically what that means, if in your operation you both sell and buy from yourself, that basically is a vertical operation, vertically integrated operation. And if you are in that kind of operation, that's not allowed under Microfarm. So I'm going to now just go from how the policy works, the Microfarm program, to how you report a loss. You have to notify your crop insurance agent of a loss within 72 hours after discovering that your revenue could be below your insured revenue. And just, I have a note here that in determining your loss, that the accrual accounting method is used. To settle a claim, you must file your taxes for the policy year before any claim can be made. Claims occur when the revenue to count that you produce on your farm falls below your insured revenue. You must make a claim no later than 60 days after the date you submit your taxes to the IRS. And once you submit, the Microfarm claim pays within 30 days after the determination that a payment is due. Just a note about this last statement. Once you file a claim after you submit your IRS statement, the claim goes to your an approved insurance company, and they will finalize the claim. And once it's finalized and approved, that's when the 30 days begins. To calculate your revenue to count, you determine the revenue to count from the tax form. You adjust the revenue to count by excluding inventory from commodities that were produced in a previous year. You adjust the revenue to count by including the value of commodities produced during the tax year that have not yet been sold, and any other adjustments required by the policy, such as those from like an uninsured cause of loss. An uninsured cause of loss would be a loss that was not caused by a weather event, basically. This is kind of a schematic about how the loss process works. The approved revenue to count is calculated and multiplied by your level of coverage. Once that's determined, that equals your guarantee. And then if you have a loss, you subtract your actual revenue, and the actual revenue comes from your IRS filing. You
We
subtract
have another question.
approved revenue. Yeah.
Could you further explain the second item?
The actual revenue?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah.
It looks like we're good.
Sorry, I had to get rid of the dog.
It looks like the question is all set now.
Is okay. That's taken care of. So basically it's what we discussed here. To calculate your revenue, you have to exclude commodities produced a previous year, items not yet sold, and any other adjustments. So basically, it's your guarantee minus what you actually produce in revenue, and that equals your indemnity payment. So I'm going to finish this example, so we'll continue. In this example, using our guarantee that we used at the beginning of $36,929, this producer selected an 85% level of coverage, so his guarantee is $31,390. So the adjusted revenue to count after a loss minus your guarantee equals an indemnity. So in this example, May 2nd, this farmer had a spring freeze to their lettuce crop. Mid-August, there was a hailstorm to their apple acreage. September 15th, there was an early freeze to this producer's onion crop. And when this farmer finally submitted his IRS Schedule F, the revenue came to $27,039. So this is the payment the farmer would receive, is the guarantee minus their revenue from their Schedule F. It would equal $4,351. So I'm just going to cover some important dates now. The sales closing date for Connecticut is March 15th. That's also when you would submit your whole farm history report and when you would first submit your intended farm acreage report. The revised farm operation report can be updated throughout the year, but not later than July 15th. The acreage reporting date is July 15th. The premium billing date is August 15th. The final farm operation report is due the earlier of the date a claim is submitted or 60 days after the end of the current insurance period.
Mary, are other states covered?
Yes. It's this policy is available in all states and in all counties.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The revised operation report, I mentioned this earlier. This is used to update what you are growing during the season. So you may plan lettuce, carrots, onions, and apples, but maybe your lettuce crop fails and you decide to plant sweet corn instead. you would use this farm operation report to update that. It also would update your expected revenue. It's used just to zero in on these tabs. It includes commodities you actually planted, commodities you purchase for resale. It's used to remove any intended commodities that were not produced and any intended commodities that were damaged and what the cause of loss was. So in review, Microfarm is available for local food producers whose total farm income is less than $100,000 per year, or if you're a carryover producer, less than $125,000. It insures all commodities grown on your farm. It's available in all 50 states, including all counties in the state of Connecticut. And this is important.
Do you have an estimate of the premiums?
Excuse me?
We have a couple questions. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Could you share the dates for Massachusetts and the premiums? Premiums.
Yes. Yeah. Let me get further into that. I'll do that as I continue.
Thank you.
So one thing I want to just mention is that all years in the whole farm history period, that 5-year period we talked about, those records must be maintained for 3 years after the insurance period ends, or the final payment of indemnity, whichever is later. So just keep in mind that whatever records you use to create your whole farm history period, you need to maintain those records, keep them safe. So if you get asked for those records, you'll be able to produce them. This program requires 3 to 5 years of consecutive tax records, including the lag year. For 2022, the lag year is 2021. And it's called a lag year because generally you will not have filed your taxes yet, right? And that's why it's called a lag year. Certified planted acres have to be reported for the last 3 years, and the program requires consolidated farm records. A little background about how this policy was developed. We started working on this in 2020. It was born out of the 2018 Farm Bill. The Farm Bill asked that RMA do a feasibility study to ensure local production that was targeted to local consumers and local markets, and to issue a report. This is just a link to the Farm Bill if anybody wants to look at that. The feasibility study that RMA conducted began in the summer of 2020 and lasted until January of 2021. We met sometimes weekly to figure out how to best address the needs of local producers. In the end, we also reached out to local producers throughout the United States. We conducted 17 listening sessions that included 196 participants. We also included 30 individual interviews with producers, loss adjusters, agents, and RMA staff. And through this process, we were charged to try to find a program that would best meet the needs of local producers, and consider looking at a current program to see if we could adapt it. And what we did is we looked at whole farm. Because whole farm includes all commodities under one umbrella, we really thought that was the best way to go. So that's kind of how the Microfarm program came to be. We also looked at the strength of the local food industry. As of 2017, it was an $11.8 billion industry, accounting for 8% of all US farms. These businesses are small businesses with 85% of producers earning less than $75,000 a year. Generally, these farmers are highly diversified, growing multiple crops throughout the year, and that don't have resources for a lot of detailed record keeping. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about RMA's website. So if you want to learn more about crop insurance, please go to this website, www.rma.usda.gov. This will give you two important pieces of information: the agent locator and the cost estimator. This is a picture of our website. If you land on our website, you'll see these four, or I guess that's five, isn't it, fields. If you click on the agent locator, you can put in your state and it will bring up all the agents that sell crop insurance in your state. And there probably will be agents that are not located in Connecticut. So just be aware that the agent doesn't have to actually have his or her office in Connecticut to be an agent. It also includes the cost estimator. That's down here. In the cost estimator, you put in your microfarm policy, your revenue, your level of election, and that will give you an idea of what your premium will be. It also includes this RMA fact sheet that gives you, I think it's a 2 or 3 page overview of how this program works. And I created this presentation by sort of following the fact sheet. So if you have the fact sheet in front of you and this presentation, those two pieces of information can help you better understand the policy. And the last thing I want to point out here, which is not highlighted, is this AIB option. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. The AIB is short for the Actuarial Information Browser. Here is a link to the AIB. It brings you to a landing page where you select your commodity, your crop year, your insurance plan, your state, and your county. So in this example, from the commodity list, you select microfarms. It's, as you can see, it's alphabetized. It will drop in the insurance, the commodity year, and the insurance plan. And then you enter the state and your county. In addition, just to dig into these details a little deeper, this is a copy of the Microfarm pilot provisions. This link will take you to the pilot provisions. I think it's 3 pages long. And this is kind of an addendum to the whole farm revenue program. So both of these policies together form the Microfarm pilot provisions. A few advantages I just want to end with. This program minimizes underwriting and record keeping for the producer. The producer is not required to report expenses or to specify individual commodities. You just report your revenue and your certified acres. The revenue from post-production operations may be included in your allowable revenue, and you can insure from 50 up to 85% of your approved revenue. The premium calculation, this is a little more detail and will appear confusing, but it's part of the whole farm revenue. If you're under Microfarm, you immediately get a commodity count of 3, which gives you a lower premium. And you get a diversification discount. All commodities are insured under one commodity code called Microfarm. Your premium calculation includes a $30 administrative fee. And then if you go to the premium calculator and you enter your information, include depending on what level of coverage you choose, you get a subsidy of up to 80%. At the 80% coverage level, the amount is 0.710. At 85%, it's 0.560. So that it's a very affordable program. The administrative fee must be paid by the due date. The administrative fee is waived if you qualify as a new or beginning farmer, or if you are a limited resource farmer. The definition of a new and beginning farmer is an individual who has not actively farmed for the last 10 years. And a limited resource farmer is defined differently in each state. So if you go to this link, put in your state and your county, that will help you understand if you qualify as a limited resource farmer. And these are some resources. This is the policy. This is the fact sheet. There are actually 2 fact sheets on our website, and this is a link to both of them. This is a press release about the program, and this I'm just crediting this website for the photos that I used in this presentation. I didn't actually work up.
Mary, we have another inquiry.
Okay.
Someone's wondering if you could run the premium calculations on your farm example to see how the numbers work out.
You know, that I was going to just say that's the one thing I didn't do is work out a premium example. I wish I had done that using the example that we worked through in this presentation. So I apologize, I don't have that. But if you go to that link and enter your information, maybe what I can do. I'll go to this link and just kind of show it to you. So here is a plan comparison, a personalized estimate, continue with an existing estimate, preferences, and view frequently asked questions. So what I would recommend is to go in and look at all these links. And what I'd suggest is you go to this personalized estimate right here. You enter the commodity year, 2022, your plan of insurance, which is you're gonna select whole farm. I don't see Microfarm actually listed here, but this is part of the whole farm revenue program. So you'd click on whole farm and you'd click on your state, Connecticut, and your county. I'll just choose Fairfield. Continue. So this shows you what you're selecting. 22 crop year, whole farm revenue, and this is the Microfarm program. So in this example, you wouldn't add an item here. Well, you'd add Microfarm. And that gives you this chart. And from here, first you select, are you a calendar year or a fiscal year filer? There's no practice, so you just leave that as it is. Do you qualify as a beginning veteran or limited resource farmer? Does conservation compliance apply? Some of these things I didn't discuss. Do you have an expanded operation? If you do, you will have worked that out with your agent and you would put a factor in here. These are the 5 years that calculate your allowable revenue that you'd enter. Your commodity value, of course, with Microfarm, there's only one value that you would enter here. The native sod issue is not applicable. You would have one unit, and then you would enter your estimates. You'd click on this Get Estimates, and it would start calculating your premium. So that's kind of as far as I can get with the time that it's allowed. But what I can do is continue to work on this example and make it available to the University of Connecticut, so those of you who are interested can see an example in detailed form. So I see that it's 1 o'clock and I used the entire hour. So I hope this was informative and helpful. Francis, are there any other questions?
Nothing new has come through the chat.
Well, I'll give folks a minute to submit any other questions just in case.
Okay.
But in the meantime, thank you so much to Joe Bonelli and Mary, and to you, Francis, for presenting this program, making it available under our outreach program. I've enjoyed, even though it's remote, it's a little weird. I feel like I'm talking to my screen, but I trust you're out there. And appreciate your attention and all the questions that you've submitted. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Francis, or to Joe or Mary.
Okay, I have a couple of things in the chat now. A year like 2021, where the weather event was a particular storm, but cumulative excessive rain.
Is
there a document with all the links that you could share with folks? Or perhaps they could reach out to you via email.
Yeah, well, I would say reach out to Joe and Mary. But in this presentation, which I understand will be made available, if you go to this last slide here, this gives you important links. And then in addition, this PowerPoint will be available. I think the other question, Francis, was if you have continuing rain, a bad year like 2021, would that be considered a loss? Do you think that's the right question?
Let's see. Yes.
Or if yes. Okay. Yes. So what you would, in real life, what you would be experiencing is just a chronic loss situation where what you harvest does not give you the revenue. And what I would suggest is that as you begin to see a loss in your production, even if it's early in the year, let's say you're going to plant 15 different crops. If you lose your earliest crop, let's say it's lettuce or spinach, let your agent know. You want to report a possible loss to your agent within 72 hours. And then as the year progresses, as you continue to experience these losses, just give your agent a call and keep them informed about your situation. But yes, those would be considered losses under this program. What wouldn't be considered a loss is if for some reason you just abandoned a crop and it was not an abandonment due to an insurable cause of loss, a weather-related peril, that would not be considered an insurable loss. So you can't really abandon a crop. If you see the price goes down and you decide you don't want to take it to harvest, that would not be insurable.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I'm not seeing anything else coming through.
Can you repeat that?
This is
ahead,
Joe
Joe.
Bonelli for Francis. Will the evaluation be posted?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, good. Yeah, please let me know if this was helpful, and if I can make any changes, I'd be happy to do that. And I will send a premium example to the University of Connecticut that can be included in this presentation. So with that, thank you so much. I've enjoyed being part of your program and would be happy to answer any follow-up questions that come to Mary and Joe.
Thank you, Mary. I do have the poll up for individuals to complete once you're done.
I'm done.
And with that, I will stop the recording.
Finished.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.